Spider-Man Brand New Day is finally what I want. In this era of Marvel going, yeah, sure, fuck it, with all their properties just kind of meandering around and doing stuff, and sometimes, not doing stuff, I'm really glad they found the time to casually fucking fix everything about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I just know for a fact there was a world where they made a completely different version of this movie. One with crazy huge stakes, especially coming off of No Way Home. Maybe where Tom Holland goes to the multiverse and fights the Inheritors or some bullshit, and I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for making a nice, grounded Spider-Man story about guilt, change, and being good to yourself, and punching the Hulk and fighting ninjas. This movie, genuinely, and more so than any in the MCU home trilogy, feels like a labor of love to the character and a real gift to the fans. I've got a full retrospective of all the MCU Spider-Man appearances up till this point, currently in copyright jail, but should be out on the channel soon, so be on the lookout for that one. Right up front, I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'll talk kind of broadly around stuff, but I'll really get into it like in the last minute or so of this video. When some of the first details about this movie started coming out, it was beginning to sound kind of like a dumpster fire. I mean, rumors were swirling about the Hulk, the Hand, organic webbing, adapting a weird JMS comic run about Peter connecting with a spider god, rumors of X-Men characters, fucking Shothra of all things. But then some BTS footage from their filming in Glasgow came out, and man, at least for me, all hope was restored. We got a look at the suit, which might be the best the character has ever looked on screen. The design, the colors, the fact that it takes inspiration from the other Spider-Men. And on top of that, the fact that it feels like a real suit, wrinkles, flaws, and all. It really adds to this movie's grounded feel. Spider-Man, for the first time in a while, doesn't have a fucking CGI robot suit that can drone strike his enemies, grow extra limbs, and fucking cook a 5-star meal all at the same time. This is a Spider-Man that is isolated, punishing himself. And the fact that he's just a guy in a suit still able to do so much good despite having nothing but his abilities, it just makes him feel heroic. And this look even translates over to when he's Peter Parker, which is like not all that often in this movie. It's probably the most mileage we get out of a single Spider-Man suit in any movie. The dude does not take it off much. And also, oh my god, he only has the one fucking suit in this movie. He doesn't feel the need to paint fucking hot rod flames on his arms or do some random alterations to sell a different toy. Thank you, God. But when he is Peter, we see he's bruised and battered, always carrying the consequences of being Spider-Man with him. He gets fucked up. It's great. And in a movie where he fights the Hulk, it's important to make him feel like he's not invincible, kind of the way he felt before. That being said, I do have some problems, but let's get into it. The first thing I want to mention is the direction. And yeah, everyone's praising Destin Daniel Cretton, rightfully so. Especially compared to the flat, lifeless cinematography of most of the home trilogy, this movie has a real life and energy to it. Cinematically, it has this confidence that wasn't there before. Remember in No Way Home when the director did like one camera trick that wasn't just shot, reverse shot for once, and everyone lost their minds? That's how starved we were for a unique look for one of these movies, and Brand New Day delivers. The action and choreography is a standout in this movie in a way that it wasn't before. All of the hand-to-hand combat that Cretton had in Shang-Chi translates perfectly to a Spider-Man movie, and the time and attention given to making the action exciting really shows. I would personally like to thank the Insomniac game for saving this iteration of Spider-Man. I don't think that inspiration can be denied. He even pulls one of the big fucking finishing moves at one point, which is awesome. Cool, yeah. Steal from good stuff. This movie's opening montage and following chase scene with this damage control vehicle wreaking havoc throughout the city is some of the best Spider-Manning we've ever seen. Just wall-to-wall quips, action. Spidey saves people and shows off his strength. For the first time, he feels like a full-fledged superhero. Not a kid figuring it out, but a man. He even does this little New York accent in this movie, which, alright Tom, you're trying something. It really truly feels like a fresh start. And just, it's everything I've been waiting for since Marvel announced that Spider-Man was joining the MCU. This is what I wanted the home trilogy to be. I feel like I can finally, definitively say that they have nailed the character. In a way, it's kind of Tom Holland's first movie as the character that isn't in some form an origin story. But a big reason why this movie works so well is the setting. This is probably the most New York a Spider-Man movie has been. And I'm not talking about the Sam Raimi cartoon land New York of those three movies, where every scene takes place in like Times Square or Central Park, and New York is this beautiful, squeaky clean wonderland. No. Peter goes to a shitty Brooklyn apartment party and sips an awfully made jungle juice out of a Solo cup. Fucking relatable. But more than that, it feels like Marvel's New York. It's a lived-in world. He bumps up against characters from other properties in a way that feels natural and not just like a fucking commercial for their show. It captures the feeling of reading a modern Spider-Man comic in that way, where you flip a page and there's some ridiculous villain that you don't have the context for that throws fucking boomerangs at you. But you know there's probably a story out there that covers their whole deal. You're just not getting it right now. We get a sense that New York loves Spider-Man. He has a working relationship with the cops. Fucking Gene DeWolf is in this movie as almost like his Commissioner Gordon. I really loved that dynamic too. But the standout and the guy who steals the show in every scene is Jon Berenthal's Punisher. I have always loved Berenthal in everything I see him in. He's amazing. I would love for him to want to ask me something. The Punisher-Spidey dynamic here is really great. They bounce off each other so well, and like, yeah, it doesn't 100% feel like the same R-rated mega murderer Frank that we got in Daredevil and his standalone stuff, but that didn't bother me at all. You would not expect how much the Punisher is in this movie, but it feels like a weird dream come true to have a movie where Spider-Man is allowed to pal around with these other Marvel characters in a way that isn't overpowering or forced, but enhances the root of the story he's going through. Punisher and MJ even have a weird dynamic I didn't expect, but I really liked a lot. Speaking of forced, I'm seeing some people have a real problem with the Hulk's inclusion in this movie, but honestly, I thought it worked really well. I think the way Pete reaches out to him is natural, makes sense for the story, and in a world where he can't go to Reed Richards with his science problems, like, yeah, Banner would fill that role. And Hulk finally getting to Hulk out after like a decade of not hulking was pretty sweet. Hulk versus Spider-Man, something that they teased in the trailers, did not disappoint and was one of those surreal moments in the theater where you just take a second to see what you're looking at on the screen and go, wow, Spider-Man's fighting the Hulk. That's pretty crazy. So before I get into spoilers, I'm just endlessly thankful for the grounded approach that this movie took. I don't know what conversations or arguments needed to be had with Sony to keep the lid on this thing, but it really, truly feels like Tom Holland's Spider-Man is fully formed and kicking ass. This movie was like a healing experience for me in that way. Spider-Man is finally allowed to live in his status quo, not going to Europe or DC or space or the afterlife. That being said, the movie isn't perfect. I do have some thoughts on the story, which will need me to get into spoilers. But speaking broadly, I just think that there's some stuff that could have been given a better explanation. It kind of feels like things pop up out of nowhere and then kind of get resolved in a way that's a little bit hand-wavy. Specifically, it just feels like something's kind of missing in this movie's third act. I don't know, it just kind of ends up feeling a little bit hollow at the end. Okay, spoiler time. Going into spoilers now. I mean, it looks like this movie's made more money than God so far, so I think it's fair to say you've probably seen it. Good? Cool? Okay. Did anyone else think he was gonna fucking die in this movie? The Punisher was just gonna dome Spider-Man? No? Just me. Okay. I also did have a meltdown in minute 1 of this movie where Peter talks to yet another AI companion. Jesus Christ, guy. I mean, at least he made this one, but what is this, number 4? I didn't really think he needed that. I think it would have been more effective if Peter was just kind of doing this on his own, which I guess he is because he made the AI, but just having a little voice in his head, I don't know, kind of takes away from that isolated feel they were going for. Look how much Spider-Man loves Claude. There were a few moments like that are just kind of like to be expected in a movie of this size. He has this weird fucking flip touchscreen phone that I've never seen any human being in my life use, but like everybody in this movie has one. You sell that phone, Spider-Man. I mean, we don't really get an insight into what Peter does for money in this movie, so maybe he just shills Verizon phones. One thing that I think was pretty rocky was the whole "my powers are mutating" thing. I get that it ties into Peter's resistance to change and him being Spider-Man all the time, but it just kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere and then doesn't really know how to resolve itself. Like toward the end, he just kind of learns to sort of deal with it, which, I don't know. I think if my eyes were turning black and I was, you know, on the verge of killing cops all the time, I became a powered up lunatic with like hyper senses. I don't know if that's something I'd want to just like put on the back burner for now. So yeah, let's get into the X-Men of it all. Lots of people are freaking out, saying, oh my god, they ruined my favorite X-Man. Jean would never do XYZ''S. And guys, look, take a breath, all right? I'm telling you right now, Jean Grey is not your favorite X-Men character. Even dating back to her comic origins, there was Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Iceman, and Girl. So I think it's fair game to do something interesting with her. I do wonder though, if the reason they were able to negotiate this movie being so grounded and not this huge like universe-ending scope is because they essentially made this a stealth X-Men trailer. And you know what? I think that's really cool. It's something you could really only do in the current MCU context and allows for Spidey to feel like an integral part of this world. It takes full advantage of the Marvel landscape in a way you couldn't wouldn't do if he wasn't in these movies. So I think that's pretty sweet. She does kill a lot of people, though. She does some pretty fucking irredeemable stuff in this movie. I mean, for a good stretch of it, the cruelty is just relentless. So it'll be interesting to see her get redeemed or what direction they choose to go in with that. But let's all just, like, relax, okay? Oh no, they character assassinated nobody's favorite X-Men character. Like, shut up. I can understand the problem of, like, oh my god, are we really doing another evil Jean Grey? Are we doing Dark Phoenix already? I don't necessarily think that that's where they're going with this. So I don't know. I trust that they know what they're doing with her. And when they do eventually reboot the X-Men, they are going to be in dire need of a new perspective on these characters. So yeah, shake it up. Do something new. Also, this goes without saying, but Sadie Sink does a great job. She's just always amazing. So when she possesses all those hand ninjas, does she have to, like, puppeteer them too in a way that she does the other people? Does Jean have, like, sick ninja training? Does she know how to throw a shuriken? I also want to touch on the Ned and MJ of it. I really appreciate they don't just immediately give him his friends back and he has to spend years without them as a consequence. One of the best scenes in this movie is where Jean does probably her most irredeemable move, possessing MJ to make Peter think she remembered him, then chucks her off a roof. So yeah, they'll need to do some serious redeeming for this chick, so we'll see. Another thing I have with this movie is that in that scene, they kind of make fun of the trope of, oh yeah, Peter, you're gonna kiss her and she's gonna remember everything immediately. How stupid would that be? But like at the end of the movie, that is kind of what happens with Ned. I mean, not that he kisses Ned on the mouth. God, if only. But him doing the handshake thing kind of like unlocks Ned's little muscle memory or whatever, and he remembers him. So the movie kind of makes fun of itself in that way, maybe unintentionally. But I don't care. I think that 5 years without your friends is enough. Like, Pete deserves to have these guys back. I do think it would be interesting to open the door for other love interests going forward, though. Like, especially after the last conversation he had with MJ, her being like, I don't love you, I don't even know you. That could open the door for, like, a Black Cat in the next movie to throw a wrench in things, you know? I mean, the last time we see MJ in this movie, she's kind of on a roof contemplating, oh, maybe I do love Spider-Man. So that could be a fun opportunity to do some like love triangle stuff there. Plus Black Cat is a character that I think is like just one of those that's long overdue in one of these movies. So overall, I'm glad Tom Holland's Spider-Man has finally been let off the leash. This movie feels like it finally fulfills the promise that Sony gave us when they said Spider-Man was joining the MCU, and finally feels like the Spider-Man I've been waiting to see since the character's been introduced. So I had a lot of fun. It's not perfect, but for my money, I'm very happy with this new era for Spider-Man. It's the first one of these Tom Holland movies that doesn't just feel like, oh, okay, there's a step in the right direction, but feels like the character that we've been wanting to see for a long time. And it pays off the premise of Spider-Man within a bigger Marvel universe. I mean, he fights the Hand, the Hulk, teams up with Punisher, talks to a new Black Widow to fight Jean Grey from the X-Men. Like, there is no other context in history that you could have made a Spider-Man movie like this. It finally feels like this character has his own, like, corner of the Marvel Universe distinct to him, rather than him trying to live in the shadow of another character. So I had a lot of fun with it, definitely not perfect, but that's all I got. Check out my other stuff. Be on the lookout for that full MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man retrospective that hopefully can escape the clutches of the copyright demon. I finished that video like a month ago. Check out my other stuff, and I'll see you next time.